Well, a happy Sunday morning to you. I'm Jeffrey Darty, the Christian Whistleblower, and we're here on Sunday morning with, with our coffee. And we're going to be looking at the Create Yourself series. This will be number 5 in the Create Yourself series. And we're going to be talking about the Comforter and being able to maximize the Comforter as well. So we're talking about some very deep stuff. We're talking about some very interesting stuff, very powerful stuff. This is comforter activation and leveraging. Create Yourself number 5. If you do have questions, you can put them in the chat room. I'm going to address them at the end of the talk here. But in the previous Create Yourself episodes, we've talked about your life track. We've talked about filling in the gaps. We've talked about your great basic purpose. And today I want to give you a little bit more of the why and the how of the filling in the gaps on your life track. You know, it's important to fill them in because it doesn't give you any apertures through which you can be attacked from entities that do not have other than your best interest at heart. But it's much more than that, because it is creating for you a complete picture of your blink that you can trust 100%. And people don't really understand, because I probably don't do a great job of explaining exactly what the blink is. But in terms of people that are Christian or have come from a Christian background, this will resonate. Those of you that have not come from a Christian background or even opposed to a Christian background, about Jesus, we're talking about the Christ. So you don't have to worry about the whole Jesus thing. This is the Christ, the avatar. And I apologize for all the drinking, but I need the hot coffee because my throat's been taking a beating. And I'm loving every minute of it. So no complaint at all. Let's talk about what blink really is. Accessing the perfect record of every sensory input that you've ever had since you've been able to receive sensory input. So from sometime in your mother's womb until this very second you've been receiving sensory input, your analytical mind maintains a perfect record of that. Blink will give you answers at any given time for any given problem or situation based upon all of that data. And it comes as a blink, boom. So you think, oh, that's just a knee jerk. I gotta think it. And as you start thinking, you think yourself out of to the reactive mind. You start thinking yourself out of the actual good answer that your analytical mind, based on all those reams of data, has given you. Now that's the physical part of it. The spiritual part of it is even greater, because the spiritual part of it allows you to access your higher self. And that is a perfect record of everything that you've received since you've been able to receive. And that could be beyond this life. But even more importantly, if you're following the ways of the Christ, it puts you into the comforter mindset. It gives you access to the comforter mindset. It gives you access to the comforter, if you will, the comforter database. And that becomes quite a different thing indeed. Having your analytical mind inhibit and hinder your ability as this perfect record in this perfect advice giving situation. If your comforter, if your analytical mind is functioning 100%, you will never ever write me another message and say, Jeff, who do I pray to? You'll never ever write me another message and say, Jeff, who do I worship? You'll never ever send me another message and say, Jeff, who do I reach out to in a time of need? You'll never ever ask me those things again, because they will become totally apparent. So let's take a look first at the Christian scriptures, the Greek scriptures. But we're not just looking at the Greek scriptures. We're looking at non-dung scriptures. We're taking a look at what I believe to be good, sound scripture, and not dung scripture from the New Testament. And the book of John is where we're going to look at first. And John is talking in verse 16:7, chapter 16, verse 7. And we're talking about comforter activation. And this is what a lot of people I'm dealing with right now are feeling. They are upset because, here it is, because he told him I'm leaving. He says I'm leaving. But a lot of them were upset because he was leaving, filled with sorrow. And a lot of you are feeling the same way when you realize you have to leave the church. You have to leave your comfort zone of Roman Catholicism or Roman Protestantism. You have to leave the things that are familiar to you. And some of you guys, which actually were the disciples, some of you are feeling sorrow in your heart. So again, some of you feeling very bad, very sad. I get multiple messages about this. Jeff, I don't want to leave because I'm all alone. And if I leave, who do I talk to? If I leave, who do I pray to? If I leave, who do I worship? If I leave, I feel all alone. Well, how did you feel when you left your mom and dad's house? Have to grow up. And it's better for you to leave the church. It's better for you to go out on your own, even if it's scary. And you don't have to believe me. You can believe the Christ, because the Christ said, listen, guys and girls, that probably Mary Magdalene was here at this time. So he was literally saying guys and girls. But I'm trying to help you, because unless I go, I can't send you the Comforter. Unless I go, I can't send you the Comforter, because if I don't leave, the Comforter won't come. But when I do leave, the Comforter will come. And you know why that is? It's very simple. As long as the Christ was physically there with them, had access to the Christ, they would not look inside and search for the Comforter. Why would they? It's like, I've used this analogy before. When I was young and I was trying to write, I'd say, hey, Dad, how do you spell X word? And he'd say, look it up. So I'd have to go to the dictionary and look it up. Bothered me at the time. But what would I have done if my dad had given me all those spellings and then he wasn't there and I needed to spell a word? What would have happened? I'd have been up a creek without a paddle. So the Christ was saying to these guys and this girl, saying, listen, I know you're sad because I've told you I'm leaving. And did you notice that he didn't say he was going to die to leave? In fact, let's take a look at that. Depart in verse 5. I hope it doesn't say die. I don't think it does, but 16:5, what does it say? Depart. However, I have to go. What does that mean? To go away, to depart, to go away, to be gone. And this is interpretation. What does it actually mean? It means to lead away under your own authority. Oh, check that out. Properly, the word means to lead away under someone's authority. A change of relation. So the Christ left under his own authority. He departed. He did not die. He went away. So the Christ did not die. He was not crucified. He simply went away. Plain. Now, if he was telling him he was going to be crucified, he would say, oh, I'm going to be crucified. But John said, after the crucifixion, we never even heard of anything about a resurrection. And if they never heard anything about a resurrection, it's because they never heard anything about a crucifixion. That's in my book, Final Message of the Last Apostle. So the Christ says, listen, it's better for you that I leave, because if I leave, the Comforter will come to you, because I'm going to send him to you. And it's actually a female word, parakletos. And as long as we have a crutch, as long as we're sucking at the teat of the church, the pastor, the priest, the guru, the spirit guide, the angel card reader, guru, yada, 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 the true Comforter, the true blink can't come to us, because we're dependent on the teat of somebody else. Sucking. I'm here today to tell you that Even though you feel bad and sad about having to get off the teat, you feel bad or sad about getting kicked out of the nest, guess what? It's part of growth. I was talking to a person yesterday, and they said that their mother made them start cooking their own meals at 12. I thought that was a little harsh, but the mom would just didn't cook only on Sundays, and the rest of the week, this person had to cook their own food. But this person said, it sounds harsh, but I became a really good cook. So if you really want to understand and be able to make your own decisions and to have your own spiritual sovereignty, if you really do want to be divine, if you really do want to be sovereign, if you really do want to be free, you got to get off the teat. You do. You've got to leave all of your structures that give you answers. It's like Captain Ramius in The Hunt for Red October, played by Sean Connery. He referenced a historical fact. He said that when Cortez came to the New World, his sailors, he had them burn their ships in the harbor. And he said, as a result, they were highly motivated. And if you leave the church and get out on your own as a result, you will be highly motivated. And the Christ is saying, look, I've got to go. He's saying, you got to go, because if you don't, you will forever be a ward of the church, or a ward of the pastor, a ward of the priest, a ward of the tarot card reader, a ward of the guru, a ward of the angel card reader, a ward of the spirit guide, a ward of the ascended master. And the Christ said, I've got many things to tell you, but you can't bear them now, because as long as you're sucking at the teat, your mind doesn't get open and expanded enough to receive the deeper truths. As long as you are, and why is he screaming again? As long as you are allowing somebody else to tell you what to believe, how to believe, you can't get into the deep truths. And what Christ wants you to have is, what is this? All truth. All truth. So what I'm telling you is that when you get to the place where you can get your analytical mind, and I'm sorry I wasn't sharing. I'll show you the verse. When you get to the place of an analytical mind cleared, you can understand and receive all truth. He wants to show you all truth. The Comforter, the Spirit of truth, will guide you into all truth. All truth. All things that the Father, the Comforter, will show it to you. Could you use that in your life? Could you use access to a complete and total database of everything that the illimitable, inexpressible Father, Mother, God has? Could you use that? Well, the only way you can get access to that is to get the hell out of Dodge. Spiritual Dodge. Get the hell out of your Catholic church. Get the hell out of your Protestant church. Get the hell away from your gurus, your guides, and say, here I am. Clear your analytical mind of gaps, and you'll be able to get a 100% effective database connection hardwired into the entire wisdom of the Father. And I'm not talking about Akashic records and something hidden under the Sphinx. I'm talking about access to the very mind of divinity, all things according to the Christ. I think he knew what he was talking about. So when I'm talking about Comforter activation, that's what I'm talking about, is activating that type of information in your life. Now, let me show you something else here. Let me show you something else here. And again, if this doesn't resonate with you because it's Bible, it's not Bible, it's just the Christ. I just happen to be reading from that book. This is Christ. This is not Bible. So look at this in 15:26. When the Comforter is come, even the Spirit of truth, which proceeds from the Father. Not only is he going to tell you everything the Father knows, but he's going to tell you everything that the Christ picked up and learned and knew. From where? From the beginning. Access to all of the information of the divine from the beginning. How? By being connected to the Comforter, by having a clean, perfect timeline, analytical mind, so you can access the Comforter. How powerful is that? Well, but wait, there's more. I want to show you something else that is powerful. I want to show you something else that's involved in this. I want to show you something else you have access to if you choose to have access to it. This is John chapter 14, and we're going to look at verse number 16. I'll pray the Father, give you the Comforter, that he may abide with you forever. How long will I have access to this database, Jeff? Forever. Wow. But here's the problem. It's the Spirit of truth. What truth? Some truth, half truth, most truth? No, truth. But here's the problem. The world cannot receive. That which is of the world cannot receive. And when your reactive mind, which is of the world, of your base physical makeup, of your fight and flight mind, it cannot receive the truth from the open database, the hardwire to the database of the Father and the Christ. So that's why you've got to get that time track, that life track fixed, gaps removed, reactive mind suppressed, fight or flight mind silenced, living in your active mind only. This is what I'm talking about, Comforter activation. But wait, there's more. Let's look at something else here while we're at it. Verse number 25. Everything I have spoken to you, everything that Christ spoke, will give us access. The Father will teach you what? All things. Now, it's great to have a physical blank that gives you access to all the data that you have accumulated over this lifetime. It's tremendously empowering. Imagine how much more empowering it is to have access to all the data that the divine has received in their lifetime, forever, at your fingers. Well, Jeff, how much of it? All of it. All things to your remembrance. And maybe, what if it's just the things that the Christ said? Well, guess what? If I could have a hardwire access to everything that just the Christ said, I'm good with that. But I really do believe it is also to the illimitable one, the inexpressible one, the Father. But Jeff, I feel, well, guess what? When you really get into this, when we really connect into it, peace I leave with you. Not peace as the world gives, not just peace of mind, not just positive thinking, not just, what's that stuff they give you for anxiety? The pill that you can take, Ambien, is that it? Well, I think that's a sleeping pill. You know what I'm talking about, the one they give you that makes you not be anxious anymore. Peace I give you. So that's how you cannot be troubled. That's how you cannot be afraid. You don't need somebody to pray to. You don't need somebody to worship. You need to activate your Comforter. And you need to clear up your analytical mind of all gaps so you can activate that Comforter. How about a little bitty review before we take questions? Because I got something else to show you that's really cool too. I don't think we need to review that. You can go back and review the video yourselves. You're all smart people. I have great confidence in you. So there's a little bit more I want to share with you, and I know it's a lot, but it's powerful. Once you get this mind, your life track cleared out and get the gaps removed, and you get full access to the divine database. And again, I'm not talking Akashic records. I'm not talking Emerald this or copper that. I'm talking about the divine information. The mind of the divine. But you can also maximize the powerful occurrences in your life. You can, at will, access your greatest powerful moments and leverage and take advantage of that strength, that encouragement, that power again, anytime you want it. You can install those tools into yourself so you can leverage the most powerful moments, empowering moments of your life at your whim and activate them and take advantage of their power once again. Once you get your life track cleared, once you get your comforter activation, you can also boil off any disempowering experiences, memories at your will, so they do not any longer place hindrances on you, at your will, at your command. Sounds like magic. Maybe it is in a way, because it does set aside what we consider to be the laws of nature. But this is why I harp on this stuff so much, because it is available to you if you wish to take advantage of it. That's what the essence of create yourself is. It really is a comforter activation and leveraging. So let's go into the chat room. Hi, Julotica. Hi, Marnie Lee. Good morning, Dr. Illusion. I don't know a Jimmy Daughtry in Kentucky, but all of my dad's side, I almost said daddy's, all of my dad's side is from Covington, so it is possible, Jerry. Good morning, Tamu, Jen. So many do need this activation. Good morning, DePretzer. I talk to you all the time. I don't know what to call you. I had a crazy, powerful epiphany. Awesome. What was it? I was attacked in a dream. I wrote a commentary in the first thought or impression. Good. You want to write it down. Anybody else getting lag or skips? Holy Blessed Center within us all is what we need. And Tamu is, if I'm not mistaken, she's a Buddhist minister, so she would not be of the Jesus ilk, but I'm certain that many of the teachings of the Christ are familiar to Tamu as a Buddhist minister, because many of the teachings of the Christ did come from Buddhist and Eastern thought. That's why he said, I brought you the best of all the ways of human spirituality, the best of all the truths of human spirituality, including some of them from thought form, or not thought form, but the Buddhist thought. Ren of Darkness, woohoo, glad you made it. Marnie, I answered your question. Am I talking about the Akashic records? Trying to connect in cosmic knowledge. You know, I don't know much about the Akashic records, and to be frank with you, for some reason, I have kind of a meh attitude about them. I need to look at them maybe with a little bit more pure intent. But right now, I'm not so big on the Akashic records. I'm on the, let's go straight to the divine database. The inexpressible ones created us, rested on the 6 days. Maybe this was after his rest, was nothing more than us becoming aware of our own. I like it. Did that long ago. My grandson begged me to go to church today, but I can't do it. Jerry, it sounds like you got some physical issues. I wouldn't waste my energy going to church, but, you know, hang out with your grandson if you can. Art, we've all had a lot of years of hellfire preaching. It could be worse. You could have done a lot of years of hellfire preaching. Divinity, absolutely being overwhelmed and blown away. Perfect. Tamu, we are one. We've been looking for the kingdom, and the queendom of heaven is within. Thank you. And I agree with you, Tamu. How do you handle your family when they aren't on the same page yet? You don't. You just do your do and let them do their do. You be kind. I mean, you be excellent to each other. Isn't that what the Christ said? Learn to love yourself and the spark of divinity within you. That'll help you love your neighbors, your family as yourself. So you just do what you do, and you let them do what they do. Yeah, like Jerry says there, I like it. Hebrew roots people get under my skin. Yeah, but that's sometimes it's a step along the way to truth, because I was fire breathing Pentecostal, and then I went to Seventh day Pentecostal and the feast days and the holy days and all that. And then I realized, oh, I'm seeing types and I'm seeing figures, and oh, now I'm starting to get it all together. And then I started, 6 years ago when I started this, it was NCK, but it was New Covenant Kabbalah, because I discovered, oh, the Christ was teaching Kabbalah. A lot of what he was teaching was Kabbalah, so it must be New Covenant Kabbalah. But then I kept studying and realized, oh, yeah, he's teaching Kabbalah, but he's also teaching Buddhism. He's also teaching Tao. He's also teaching Native American. He's also teaching Pacific Islander. He's also teaching African. He's also teaching Norse. He's also teaching, Far East. He was teaching all kind of stuff. So I realized that it's not just New Covenant Kabbalah, though there's pieces of that, but it's now NCK morphed, and I can see the divine in this, from New Covenant Kabbalah to New Cosmic Knowledge. So that's what we're running on now, is New Cosmic Knowledge, and who knows what NCK will stand for 5 years from now. The left-hand path versus the right-hand path. Any identification with the false matrix makes me cringe. Yep. Sophia, organic light, love it. I'm here again, can't get enough of this truth movement. We're glad you're here, Donna. And Donna checked me out for a while before she bought in. That's what you call smart. This is exactly what needs to be said. Waking up can be so hard to do. That sounds like a song. No wards, rewards, or awards. Nothing but a struggle. I'm fed up. Ah, come on, Red Rose. Shake yourself off. Turn that frown upside down. You got to go through. You can't climb a smooth mountain. You got to have some cracks. You got to have some things jutting out, and you got to have some issues every now and then. It's not, if anybody told you that it was going to be a picnic, they lied. It might be a picnic, but even a picnic has an ant or two. As my granddaddy from Tennessee, my paternal part is from Kentucky. My maternal part's from Tennessee. He used to say, Jeffrey, life is not a cherry-bolis. And what he meant was a bowl of cherries, and even cherries have pits, right? I'd imagine it would be hard to feel divine when you get really old. Hey, wait a second now. Wait a second now. Our spirits are eternal, don't need diapers. True. Here I am, ready to step into my divinity. Amen. Tamu, even though I don't like to use that word. Ola from Denver, Cuban Pixie. Howdy, Chris. The database is our DNA. It's our self. That's interesting. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's a Pauline scripture, and I don't like it because it ties you into, oh, I got to go to Jesus who strengthens me. I say you can do all things through the Christ. And it's not the Christ that strengthens you. It's your connection to the Christ. So I would be a little careful with that, Terry. I don't know where you're coming from on that, but you do all things. You strengthen yourself through exercising, connecting with the information that the Christ brought. It's not about a sacrifice. It's not about a blood. It's not about an old rugged cross on a hill far away. It's about the spark of divinity inside you. Yep. Good stuff. I was Xanax. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Tamu. Xanax. Yes, it can be an open channel. Our spirits are eternal, don't need diapers. Okay. This thing hops around on me every now and then. My God is the whipper who is about to turn the world, not just tables this time. He caged animals. Is that a song? I do not know the book of the secret golden flower. She considers herself a Dharma minister, Tamu does. I don't know anything about the Serapis. I was brought into Thelema. Thelema has there is Thelemic thought in the Christ teachings, or there are some of the Christ teachings in Thelemic thought, and there's also some not so great stuff in Thelemic thought. Nag Hammadi is good. Your grandson will enjoy that. I have trouble meditating. I can't shut off my brain. That's why you start with 5 seconds, Bellstar. Meditate for 5 seconds. Then, exactly, Karen, who they calling old? 65 is not old, especially if you're a tree. Say no to pills, Zombieland. All right, so that brings us down to the end of the questions. Anybody else have any other questions? Because remember, we're talking about activating the comforter and leveraging the comforter. And that's done through clearing out your life track and getting all the gaps out. So your reactive mind is not jumping up, and you're totally living and activating the analytical mind, which is the perfect blink of your own record, and gives you the perfect access to all the divine information through the comforter. Not says the Jeff, but says the Christ. And I don't know about you, but I would rather trust the Christ than the Jeff. That's just my advice. Any other questions? Any other answers? Well, I appreciate you being with us here today. I appreciate you tuning in to Create Yourself 5 live with questions and answers, comforter activation, and leveraging. When you sit to meditate, focus on your breathing. Don't focus on trying to stop thinking. Just focus on your breath. Inhale and exhale for 5 minutes. If you make it to 5 minutes, congratulations. It took me a while. Squirrel to get to 5 minutes. But yeah, if you can even start with 5 seconds, and that's great advice from Tamu, who's going to be on the show next week. So I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This has been the Create Yourself series. You have access to all of the other Create Yourself series here online, and we hope that you look at it. We hope you take advantage of it. We had a great ceremony yesterday, inducting 4 or 5 people into the Jesuit Hall of Fame, and that was fun and interesting and also informative. I try to be all 3, but we'll be back later today with more information, more cutting-edge information for how to unwind your mind, how to unindoctrinate yourself. And we are here to help you learn how to be your own guru, guide your own spirit, and master your own ascension. Get in touch with the comforter. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes you feel sad. But sometimes growing up is hard to do, but it's a lot easier than being a 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old, somebody to wipe your little chin and change your diapers. Wouldn't that be a sick situation? Well, don't find yourself in that area. Unindoctrinate yourself. Learn about the divinity inside you. Be excellent to yourself. Then you can do what the Christ said, be excellent to each other. And that's when it all begins to work really well for everybody and for everything. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We'll talk to you next time, and that'll be soon and very soon. Until then, adios.